Uh-oh, we can't hear you.
You're on mute. Double mute.
I'm sorry, can you hear us?
We can't hear you.
All right. Well, everyone, it looks like we have gone live. So, welcome everyone to our Inclusivity Week. We have a wonderful panel put together for you all today, here to highlight many identities across the spectrum of this human experience, but today in particular, those representing religious minorities in the workplace, and who are professionals. And so I am AJ Simmons. I am an assistant director at the University Career Center, who has the privilege to work with a great team to pull this series together. And at this point, I'd like to go ahead and our wonderful panelists who have taken the time to join us today and share their expertise. So first, I'd like to introduce Shailene Venus, who is a professional with over 25 years of experience. Currently, she is the Assistant Vice President of Technology for LPL Financial, where she has been for over 2.5 years. She serves as the technical lead for Tier 2 and 3 support across the entire brokerage platform and performs troubleshooting, oversees ticket management, escalation, resolution, and reporting of incidents for LPL production environments. Shailene loves technology and exploring ways to make things better. She is an expert in leadership and motivating people and holds a bachelor's degree in computer science from DeVry Institute of Technology. She is a mentor at the UNCC, or excuse me, at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, and a member of Empowering Women in Technology at LPL Financial. Shailene credits her success to standing her ground and making sure her voice is heard, and is proud to be recognized within the organization as a female leader, where her opinion counts and she is treated with respect. So we all can't see you here on this stage as you can see us, but I know that you all are excited. So share your excitement with us by clapping virtually and showing some love for Shailene. Um, Next, I'd like to introduce Talina Hawley, who is a process lead and has been employed by Alight Solutions since 2011, providing business processing solutions to several global clients. The North Carolina native is a graduate of North Carolina State University with a degree in accounting. Aside from cheering on the Wolfpack and perfecting Excel spreadsheets, her interests include traveling the globe, cooking with vino, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, and spending time with family and friends. Everyone, please give a resounding applause for Talina Hawley. Next, I'd like to introduce Danisha Hawkins, who is a Chicago native with a Bachelor of Science in Construction Management from Kent State University. She is an assistant project manager for the Walsh Group in their Southeast region. Danisha's tenure with the Walsh Group began as an intern in 2015 and turned into a full-time career in 2017. In her time with the Walsh Group, she has moved about the Eastern region from estimating in Pittsburgh to her current role as an assistant project manager in North Carolina. Danisha's passion for construction began as a love for design that could improve the quality of life for those she loved, and that passion manifested into a hands-on career bringing those things to life. That, paired with her passion for mentoring, she has made it a point to assist other women with that similar passion to reach their goals. Danisha is grateful for her experiences thus far and for the women that have pushed and guided her along the way. Outside of her work, she enjoys a good Netflix binge, sports, and fitness of any kind. Y'all go ahead and give a round of applause for Danisha Hawkins. And then lastly, I'd like to introduce Wendy Malone, who is an internationally experienced business and finance executive with almost 14 years at SPX Flow holding 5 different roles. In her current role, she serves as VP of Business Transformation for the operations team at XPX Flow, working directly with their manufacturing facilities. Wendy is experienced in driving change and passionate about leading her teams to achieve their best success. She currently also serves on the board for Empowerment Incorporated, a mentorship and leadership program for high school women in Charlotte. Also, as an executive sponsor on the Women's ERG, or Employee Resource Group Steering Committee, Empower, and Early Career Programs for SPX Flow. She currently resides in Charlotte with her husband, Brian. Everyone, please welcome our wonderful group of panelists and bear with us as we traverse this tricky virtual plane together, as we may have some folks popping in and out. So let's go ahead and get into our questions here. First, I'd like to pose this question to everyone, and I'll call you out kind of in order for this first question. But then after that, in whatever sort of order that you choose to respond in is great. So, in what ways have you been able to demonstrate the value that you bring to an organization with your identity? And that question is for Shailene first, if you don't mind.
Um, what I do here at LPL is I am one who is, first of all, I am genuine. If there's something that I don't like, I'm not one to sugarcoat it. I'm a straightforward shooter. So, and the folks that I work with, I make sure that they understand that that is my personality, that is my trait. So, and they accept it. Sometimes they're like, whoa, but they do accept it. Um, and when I come in and I present something, I present it in an open form, in an open-minded way, so that I'm not trying to sway people in any way to my opinion. I let them form, because I believe in empowering others to make decisions, have their own mind about a project or a fix or whatever the scenario may be. So I demonstrate that with everyone. And I believe that the next gen leaders should also do the same thing and not try to steer people or force people in one opinion or another.
Thank you. So I'd like to pose that same question to Donisha. In what ways have you been able to demonstrate the value that you bring to an organization with your identity?
Mm. For me, I guess I've been fortunate with my company in particular to um, go out and represent the company at different networking events, recruiting events, on different panels. Um, so using my voice and my expertise or my experience in that way to share um, in different areas with different people, and then also my passion for mentoring. I'm always helping the interns that we may bring in or the new PEs that we may bring in, just pushing them along the way. So I think in those ways, I'm able to demonstrate my value um, and show the value that the company has to me as well. So
Fantastic. And I love how you worked in the panels, right? Because I feel like in that way we're getting a partner and help with each other and help you show, the value that you bring. So that's excellent. Thank you. And then Talina, I'd like to pose the same question to you. So in what ways have you been able to demonstrate the value that you bring to your organization with your identity?
Sure, AJ. I won't think of a number of ways or a specific example because the answer to that question no matter what day or time it is that you always bring your authentic self. And it's very much as to what Shailene stated as well. In accounting, there are a few areas of gray, but mostly it's black or white, and you're going to fall into a category. In the gray areas is what we would like to often deem as opinions, and which they should be shared. A gray is a spectrum that we do need to visit, but when you are yourself, what you think, what matters to you is going to flow from yourself, whether it's in a meeting, it's walking down the hall on your way to the restroom, stopping by randomly, having a conversation with someone. We on the panel, we're all women, and a lot of conversation ignites by compliments and fashion. And those are things are just to kind of start a conversation, but those are also ways to build relationships. So that next person, they may be on, I mean, excuse me, that person may be on my next project or my next client that I need to serve. So you form relationships, but those relationships are formed when you are most being your authentic self in any situation. So there are multiple ways to discriminate that, excuse me, to demonstrate that. But when you are you, that itself is a demonstration in itself.
Excellent, excellent. I pulled a lot away from that. I heard being genuine, right? Being authentic and showing up. And, I that cannot be understated, just being yourself and showing up. So I really appreciate y'all, kind of breaking that down and showing us, the importance of that. And then also some examples of what that can look like. Now I'd like to kind of shift over to thinking about, with that level of success, because you all have obviously achieved a certain level of success professionally. What skills would you say that you've been able to leverage, to find that professional success?
Do you want me to
And
go
this is
first?
for anyone.
With me, it's networking. I do a lot of networking, whether it's on LinkedIn, I do a lot of volunteer work. I go out into the community. I'm constantly networking. If it's with Team True Blue, if it's with different folks out in the field, with the men's shelter, the women's shelter, I'm constantly networking, whether they're in my field or not. You never know who that person is that you're speaking to. So I'm constantly networking with folks that I meet, whether at church as well. Even in Walmart, I talk to everybody. I'm not one of those shy people. My daughter's always like, do you know them? Well, no, but I want to get to know them because I'm constantly talking and just reaching out and asking folks, hey, is there anything I can pray with you about? Is what I normally say to people, and that really just kind of kicks off the conversation. And I network. I do a lot of networking. That's the main key to either professional and personal development to me, is to network with people, just to talk. And that's what I tell my student, because I'm a mentor at UNCC as well. And I'm always telling them, constantly network, whether they're in your field or not, network. Because they may know someone who knows someone that's in your field that could possibly hire you.
Yeah, excellent. I'm sure you get a lot of hits with that. What can I pray for you with too? Bills, kids.
Exactly.
I'll go ahead and piggyback on what she stated. And I know I talked about, being genuine and being your authentic self, but what has helped me is that I've been able to put on a little bit of facade. I like to talk. I do, but in terms of a true intro or extrovert, I am an introvert. But what I have learned along the way is you have to also sometimes, while maintaining yourself, identity, you also have to be a little something that you aren't all the time, or something that you're not most comfortable with. And for me, I'm not most comfortable with being in the presence of a lot of people, just by nature. Not that I won't do well with it, but if I feel as if I'm acting or if I know I'm serving a greater purpose, then it tends to come very natural. So again, it's almost like an alter ego, but it's the ego that's going to take you out of your normal element to help you get to those next levels, including success to follow. And again, networking is a very big part of that. And so if I normally wouldn't say hi to someone in a party, if I know being in a professional setting, that is going to actually happen way more often if I was for something, and let's say an internal or a house party with friends.
Mhm.
So a lot of times your success is going to be stepping outside of your normal box and doing something you would not ordinarily do on a regular basis.
So stepping out of your comfort zone, doing things that don't necessarily come as naturally to you, right? But they can help stretch you towards success. Excellent. Um,
Um,
uh,
I'll,
Donna,
I'll most definitely have to agree with Shailene and Selena. For me, I'm certainly not an extrovert by any stretch of the imagination. I'm an introvert. But in professional settings, like Selena said, it's sort of kind of an alter ego. It's pretty natural for me in professional settings and networking, to talk a little bit more, to ask a little bit more questions, to be a little bit different than what I typically may be walking down the street or at the store. Definitely won't go up to someone in the store and ask them a question. But if I'm in a networking event, I'm definitely going to have those conversations. What projects are you working on? What things do you have coming up? Things like that. And creating and building those relationships that could either help me or them moving forward, or it can just be a continued working relationship. You never know who you're going to encounter. You never know. I work in construction, but I could talk to a lawyer and they may be working with one of my clients one day. You never know. Outside of networking, I think my work ethic and persistence are two things that I've leveraged to find professional success. I think I work really hard and I'm a really diligent person. And then with persistence, that kind of ties with networking. If I meet someone and I feel it necessary to maintain a relationship with them, I am very persistent. I will continue to communicate. If it's nothing on the radar right now, I'll touch back in 3 months and see how you're doing, or if there's something upcoming. So those are a couple skills that I've used myself.
excellent, excellent. Wendy, would you like to weigh in on this one? What skills that you've used, that you've leveraged? Uh-oh. We may be having some audio difficulties for the time being. So as Wendy is figuring that out, would you mind maybe putting a few of your thoughts into the event chat so that our folks can hear your wonderful response to that? And then as you are able to get your audio up, then we'll be able to hear your wonderful responses. So that being said, thank you all for indulging in that question. And at this point, we're gonna go off the script for a little bit, and I want to pose this question to you all. What is one piece of advice that you wish you had known prior to entering into the workforce?
I'll,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
I'll start with that. The I think the advice comes from, or let me answer this not directly about what type of advice. I think your background has a lot to do with the advice that I wish I would have gotten. For me, on one side of the family, I was pretty much first generational college student. So it was a very routine manner. You graduate from high school, you go to college, you graduate college, and you get a good job. And that quote unquote good job was a job that people like to have seen you there for a while. And, on your resume is great. It's longevity, it's commitment. But the one advice I wish I had received was that it was okay to actually venture out and do some things that you didn't necessarily thought you should do, but things you really found a passion in. And I know that advice is probably great for entering college students now. So hopefully they do get that, but you can also be successful without doing what's on the natural path that you think may have been chosen for you or on your behalf. So that is some advice I would have loved to have received prior to entering the workforce or right after college graduation.
Yes, terrific.
I guess I can most certainly agree with that piece of advice is finding your passion and following it. And none of my family went to college before me, so it was very new. Started in architecture and then switched to construction management. So I had a little bit of a, okay, this isn't really what I like, but I like this. But it was still a little, I was timid to make the switch because I'm like, but I should be doing this. This is what I started with. This is where I should be. But having the confidence and the wherewithal to say, okay, this is not it. If this is really where I want to be. And then even in my switch to construction management, finding out as much as I could about that industry, what avenues were available for me, so that once I graduated, I had a clear idea of what I could do. I think now in my career, I found out that there are so many other things that you can get into with this degree, but at the time I was not aware. So definitely that piece of advice is key. I wish I would have had that at the time.
I can definitely agree with both of them. As far as taking the leap and getting outside the box. In addition to that is as you're being promoted and recognized, just feel comfortable with negotiating for yourself for a salary. Don't just take what's given to you. Push. The men push. We need to push. And push with confidence. That's the key, is we need to push with confidence. We know what we're worth, but as my daddy used to tell me, the only one who can express your worth is you. So, and I wish that I had known that 20 years back. But I know it now, and I'm teaching my daughter that, and every student I mentor, I reinforce that, to know your worth and ask for it. You've heard no before, but if you don't ask, you'll never hear no. So always ask.
Definitely agree with that. And along with that, I will also say, give yourself credit.
Yep.
Give yourself credit. There, you may feel like you're not doing a lot. You may feel like, oh, this is what people are supposed to do. No, give yourself credit for the things that you're doing.
Yep.
That is so important. That is so important.
Highlight it. Highlight what you're doing. Even if, like, I do a lot of volunteer work. I highlight that. I want people to know, because I want more people involved in volunteering work and helping the less fortunate. Because as I talk to the folks in Charlotte and out there, I'm always saying, you know what, we're all just a paycheck away. We're all just a paycheck away. I'm not here to degrade anyone. I'm just wanting to make things a little easier for you and to see where I can help you improve you and give you a hand up, not a hand out, a hand up in what you're trying to accomplish for you or your family. So I always interject the volunteer stuff, because not enough folks volunteer.
Anyone who knows me, knows that I can go on all day volunteering. So if you want me to ask another question about community service, please let me know so I can, turn that over to y'all. This is a reminder too that Wendy is putting her responses in the event chat. So if you all are tuned in with us now, you can go to the chat and click on the event sub tab, and you'll be able to see Wendy's contributions. But thank you all for answering that question, and it brings to question to mind another question around those challenges. You all sort of alluded to the challenges. I deal in reality. I know that men put up a lot of barriers and a lot of challenges, and we've put in place a lot of systems and structures to reinforce those challenges. So I'm wondering, what are some of the greatest challenges that you all have had to confront, and how did you go about overcoming those?
All right, I'll start. I'm in technology, and I do a lot of monitoring and looking at different things. And when I present some at first, that would be like, oh no, you really don't know what you're talking about, or they would question me. They would determine that maybe you didn't know what you were talking about. So always having to prove myself until they realize, hey, she does know what she's talking about. So now when I say something is, hey, we need to pay attention to this, they know when I speak that and I say that I'm being serious. I have facts to back up what I'm saying. And they respect that, and they move forward with what I'm telling them. So they're not questioning me as much. At first, it was very challenging and very frustrating. But like I stated, I stood my ground on what I knew because I had the facts. Data doesn't lie. And I would always present the data. The data's there. So they always used to question that, but that has since passed. And I want others to know that stand your ground, but stand it professionally. If you have your facts and you have correctly, then always stand your ground in a professional way.
So I'll go next about I'm sorry, AJ, did you want to comment?
Oh, no, ma'am. No, I was just responding to Shaylene's response.
Okay. She says, stand your ground, and I think standing your ground is probably the obstacle in itself, because people get an idea based on, we're all women. And so we all look alike from that standpoint, but there are other characteristics that will, slap one in the face as well to distinguish us from others. So the whole standing your ground, knowing who you are is a very, very gentle subject that some of us have to deal with on a daily basis. I mean, it goes back to what Shailene said, you have to figure out how to stand your ground in a professional setting. This is a topic of religious minorities. So it's a lot of times where religion has to be the backbone. And, we'll say, don't make me lose my religion, because people will, they will attempt to, take you in that direction. But I would say that is the biggest obstacle on standing your ground. You do belong, but doing it in a way that you're not perceived as the perception that you once gave them automatically without saying anything, just by appearing in the room itself. So that alone are obstacles. Some of them, or some of us, probably will have them from here on out, because some things about us won't change. So it's a matter of doing that in a professional manner, knowing your rights, and like Shailene stated, the data does not waver. You present your facts, you know who you are, you be proud of who you are while you are standing your ground, and you move forward.
Mm-hmm.
100% agree. 100% agree. There's not too much more for me to beyond what you ladies have said already. Standing your ground is most definitely one of the top challenges. I'm in the construction industry. It's a male-driven industry, an older male industry. So me, a young Black woman in the industry, trying to kind of put my foot down on some things, I can get a lot of pushback, and people coming to me as if I don't know what I'm talking about, or I don't understand what's happening. I understand very much so what's happening. I understand what's going on here. This is not correct. These are the things that I need you to do moving forward. And having enough confidence in myself and in the things that I know to be true, and enough confidence in the facts, to be able to stand my ground and push to be true. And then challenges that I encountered even getting to this point. I was one of maybe 6 women in my construction management program at the time. So having to stand out amongst all the men in the program, and even amongst the other women in the program, was necessary. I felt like I needed to do just a little bit more, talk to just a few more people, and be persistent and consistent in my communication with people in order to get my foot in the door, in order to be seen, to be recognized. And then in building those relationships and gaining that experience, it has helped me, has made things easier now in my professional career.
Spectacular. You know, I heard a lot of responses, and again, want to remind everyone that Wendy's responses in the chat, heard a lot of really good stuff, you know, just around standing your ground, and why you would even have to stand your ground in the first place, you know, rich intersectionality around being a woman, being a Black woman, being a young Black woman, being in these male dominated fields, particularly old white male dominated fields such as technology and construction and so on. And, you know, the way in which you've overcome those barriers is very inspiring. So much, in fact, that I'd love to hear about your proudest moments. What are some of your proudest moments that you all have had as professionals, you know, doing what you do?
I guess my proudest moment is just being recognized by the leadership as, first of all, a woman in technology, because there's very few, and being respected for that. And when I say something, they react. They if anything is going to happen, they immediately know they're calling me. They're asking for my opinion. In the past, that's never happened. And I think that they're starting to recognize that women do know what we're talking about. We're not all emotional all the time. And they're starting, it's changing, the culture's changing, and they're starting to ask more of, hey, what do you think about that? And I'm very proud to say that they're always coming to me and asking me, what do you think about that? What would you do in this situation? I have a couple people that say, hey, can you proof this email before I send it out? Just want to make sure that it sounds right. And I'm like, okay, sure, I can do that. Just the fact that people want to ask your opinion about things without you having to go forward and say, okay, let me tell you this, but they're asking your opinion now. I think that I'm very proud of that.
I'll start next. And I have to give Kristen, who's in the chat, credit for allowing me to answer her question in response to this question here, because she poses, at what general age did our panelists realize their worth and ability to be an advocate for themselves? And I would say that being able to actually become an advocate for yourself is exactly a very proud moment. And when she say what age, I know, you know, age is something people don't like to talk about, but I don't mind sharing. But it was very, very recent. It's like you wake up one morning and you realize it's almost like, you know what, I'm grown, I'm an adult. But it took a while to get there. And I think it has a lot, again, to do with your background and the ability or the thought that you should always be humble. But to know you, to get up and to say, you know what, all those things Shailene stated as well, I belong here, and to know that is the actual problem. And when she say what age, let's say we're going to say, well, like in, once you, don't be alarmed, but once you get into your 40s, that's what it was for me. But again, I could give that, if I could give that to my younger peers, and as you know, as Shailene stated, the advice she give them, like, you don't have to wait to a certain age. It did. It's not an earned skill. It's something that is within. It comes natural, and you know, you'll know when you get there for sure. But that itself is a very proud moment to once you do realize your worth in itself, and no job or no profession can validate that for you.
For me, I guess my proudest moment will probably be when I have the opportunity to work with interns or new employees. Mentoring is one of my passions. It pushes me forward. It makes me feel good. It's the most fulfilling thing I could think of at this point in time. So helping somebody else achieve their goals, or to see someone through whatever it is that they desire to do, giving advice or learning something from somebody else. That is when I feel the proudest, when I can see someone start as an intern, work their way through, ask whatever questions they may need to ask, and then ultimately end up with a full-time career somewhere, whether it be with my company or another one. It makes me feel good. I am proud to see that relationship through, to see that person succeed. And then I guess another proud moment is when my name is in rooms that I've never been in. To have people recommend me for things, for events, or for whatever it may be, without me having entered that room, without me having applied for that thing, that makes me feel good. That makes me proud. And I guess to this question in the chat, what age did you realize your worth or ability to be an advocate for yourself? It's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing process. I feel like sometimes I have all the confidence and all the gall to say, okay, I'm going to advocate for myself. I know what I'm doing. I know what's happening. And then sometimes I kind of, okay, fall back into myself, like, okay, maybe I don't. So it's an ongoing process, and it's consistently people telling me, speak up for yourself. No, ask for that. I'm not going to say it for you. You go ahead and say it. So it's an ongoing process. I think it starts as early. It can start as early as childhood. If you're going to put your foot down and say, hey, no, I don't think that's okay. It's as simple as that. So I think it's an ongoing process. I don't think it's one set age where you get that.
Amazing. Yeah. Wow. Those are some profound testimonies. And I definitely, and I think all in attendance certainly appreciate you all, sharing that, sharing, your experiences, maybe some of the lower moments that you've had to learn things, as well as those high points. And that's kind of where we wanted to leave this panel. So at this point in time, for the inclusivity mixer, we'd like to actually shift from this panel session to the actual, and maybe that was a poor choice of word, session, this panel portion to the sessions portion of the event. So everyone who can hear me, if you look over to the left of your screen, there should be a sessions area where there's a red now button. If you click over there, you will be able to interact with our panelists here, our wonderful panelists, and ask them questions directly in their session. So you would just click on their name, their picture should be up there, and you can interact with them directly. everyone else is welcome to go to the expo feature and connect with the other recruiters who are in those employer booths. You just scroll down and go to the booth of your choice, pop around, mingle with a few people. We do not have any mocktails this year, so sorry about that, folks. But please sip on your water at the house. And then we will also have the networking portion of the event kicking off at 1. It'll go on simultaneously with the other two things I just mentioned, where you can randomly interact with others here on the call. So again, on behalf of the University Career Center, I would love to thank again Danisha Hawkins, Shailene Bemis, Talina Holly, and Wendy Malone for being an outstanding panel today and sharing so much information. Everyone, if you wouldn't mind, we can't see you, but I know you're going to do it. If you wouldn't mind standing up and giving a standing ovation to our panelists as you head on over to the sessions and expo. Thank you so much.